as it goes. All right. Hi, I'm Scott Boyd, UYSA League Commissioner, and I like to help out as much as I can working with the referees. Miss Holly is on the call. I expect that Michelle Wixom, who is our Assistant League Commissioner, will also be able to make it. This is a quick refresher on things that we should be doing on UYSA games and an additional step that we're going to be taking when it comes to racist comments on a field, whether you hear them or not. So that'll be about 2/3 of the way through the presentation. Much of the presentation you all have seen before, and even if you haven't, you can go back and watch the PowerPoint or the video again. So I am not going to dilly-dally. So with that being said, oops, that didn't work right. First of all, thank you. We appreciate everybody being here. This screen has got a little bit of additional information if you are having a hard time getting paid or making sure your account is working properly. So there's the connection, the USARR Gmail account, and some other instructions. If you really are still having problems getting paid, get a hold of the UYSA office or get a hold of Miss Holly. Either of us can help you. First of all, quick thank you for your professionalism. One of the only complaints I get, we have a ton of young referees, and the major complaint we get is when they show up and they don't look professional. So, shirts, shorts, socks, yeah, those are actually part of the uniform. If you look professional, the adults will treat you professionally, particularly good, again, with younger referees. Um, this is again reminders on professionalism. So just so you all know, I was here 15 minutes early before this game began just to make sure everything was working properly, everything was set up. Same thing, making sure your fields are set up, make sure the flags are set up, making sure that you check in the teams, etc. So again, thank you. I know you all know all this information, but it's here anyway in case you need a review. This is another quick slide. This is talking about when you're in some of the smaller areas where you all happen to know everybody on the home team, and it doesn't matter which team it is. Always make sure that you're incredibly professional in the environment. Don't spend extra time talking to people on that side that you don't spend talking with people on the away side. I know it's common sense, but we do get complaints. The better job you do of making them look neutral, the more credit they're going to give you. Okay, zero tolerance, still in effect. Here's the biggest reminder I'm going to give you the whole time. It is enforced by USA, not the referees on the field. Okay. Is it something you have in your toolbox where you can remind a coach, hey, you remind your parents there's zero tolerance? That's great. You can do it. Nothing else on this slide is new from what we did in the fall. Please remember, you've always had the ability to clear a sideline if the sideline was getting out of control. You've had the ability to ask somebody to leave if that person was getting out of control. We always recommend talking to the coach first. Let the coach have the first shot at trying to fix the problem. Okay. Um, I have added on here information so you all know what we're telling parents. So there's a frequently asked questions under the zero tolerance page on the website. So, and this is directly for parents and coaches where we're explaining what we're trying to do. Yeah, dealing with coach misbehavior, use your actual Law 12 guidelines. Those tell you exactly what misbehavior is problematic. We don't mind if a coach asks for clarification of a call. What we do mind is how they ask for clarification. What the bleep was that is not going to get you anywhere. Okay. But kindly, when the ball is out of play, sir or ma'am, what did you see on that play? We'll usually get a response and a real answer, as long as they realize that's not an invitation for an argument. This clarification that there's yelling from the sideline that deserves a caution. You can't figure out who said it. Yep, it goes to the senior coach. And then all the P's, If it's directed at you and it's personal, provocative, profane, persistent, it's going to be a caution or more. Again, this is more infrequently asked questions that parents and coaches have. That's there just so you all know what they are asking about. So if you have a chance, you want to review them, fantastic. So who can talk to a referee? This is our instructions to our people. The coach. We want the coach and the referee to introduce themselves before the game and make sure you are absolutely have already communicated about, hey, coach, if there's problems on the sideline, I'm going to talk to you. The coach can say, great, if I have a question to call, how do you want me to ask? Important, have that done. Players, we all know players ask questions and they should. It all comes down, as always, to whether or not they're being respectful. And then parents, I literally put down, there's no reason to speak to a referee unless you're saying that was a great call. So sorry, parents, but that's the clarification. And there's no reason ever to approach a referee after the game to find out who the referee was. We all know that, but the parents get confused. This is information for you, again, that we are teaching our coaches. We want you to know this because this type of behavior that we're asking them to use might come back to you. We want coaches, players, and referees to build relationships. Underside the opposing side of view, set a great example, work together. And then the coaches actually need to understand the officials and officiating. That would be helpful. Focus on their own job. Don't criticize, humiliate, or embarrass the referee. And watch your language. That's literally what they're being taught in all the coaching classes. So if you ever look at them and say, hey, coach, you do your job, I'll do mine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what they're being taught. And never question referee's integrity. And you guys know that. We know that. When I see that that's what the comment was in a comment afterwards and a coach got in trouble, I'm going to say, yeah, well, there you go. Field setup. This is the reminder. The coaches have this. You as referees have this. I'm not as worried at 9U and 10U because we have CCRs or CCLs anyway. And the fields aren't very big. So I can see the people maybe all the way up and down the sideline, just as long as you can figure out where the bench is. But once we get to 11U or 12U, set the field up properly, please. It helps solve problems. Special rules for 9U through 12U. I'm not going through them. They are on our website. They are also on the Utah Soccer Referees website. Is that correct, Holly? I'm pretty sure
Correct.
they are. Okay,
Correct.
thank you. And this is a live link, so you can link right into it. Scroll down the page. You'll see for each age group what the rules are. No scores, no standings. 9U, 10U, 11U. What does that mean? It means there's no scores, no standings. It also means because the games don't mean anything, the rosters are flexible. Specifically, they may use tournament rosters, but they need to use the tournament roster that actually has photos. Some of our groups and teams have 30 players who are in a pool and they just shuffle them between teams. That's great. All we care about, make sure you have a roster for that day that shows the picture with that particular kid on it. Game reports required. Enter your comments in the comments box. If you just put comments in the comments box and don't put in a score and hit enter, guess what? The score gets entered as 0-0. It's really slick. So you don't even have to remember that you have to enter it as 0-0 if you put a comment in the comment box. In the comment box, if you would like to put the actual score, great, helpful. We don't mind. It helps us. And later on, actually, a lot of clubs will ask us to look up and see how a team's doing. But at the end of the day, scores entered in the score box has to be 0-0. And it has to be entered. Otherwise, we don't know the game happened. So please put it in. Otherwise, you get that fun little email from Holly saying, hey, what'd you put the score in for? CCLs are mandatory. We keep pushing them. The teams keep, sometimes they do them, sometimes they don't. This is for your benefit, both short-term and long-term. Short-term is because you get a parent up there who's actually helping you with the game. Long-term, we may turn that parent into a referee. And by the way, I've seen some good ones, really good ones who are not currently refs. It was great. Okay, here we go. So we're going to spend a little bit of time. We are trying to eliminate racist comments that are happening on the field. Um, as an aside, here's what usually happens, and you all know this. Somebody makes a racist comment, you and the rest of your crew don't hear it. Kid looks over at you and says, hey, he just called me a blank. Fill in the blank. What do we usually say? Crap, I didn't hear it. I will listen for it. Sorry that happened. Something to that effect. Not anymore. We're going with the MLS next method of trying to deal with these. So if a player or a coach reports a racist comment to you, here's what we do. Number one, wait for a dead ball, blow the game dead. Send both the teams to their sidelines. Go to the complaining team's sidelines and get the specifics. Let's face it, if the kid's willing to tell you what number it was who said it, fantastic. That's helpful. Go to the other coach's side, report the alleged comments, remind the coach and the team that such comments are not allowed. Now, let's face it, if they've got the specific number, I don't care whether the kid says he did it or didn't do it. Most coaches would be like, yeah, number 11, you're staying over here with me for a while. Okay. We're not putting you right back in the game. Bring the teams back on, restart the game, pay even more attention to any comments, write it up. Just put it in the comments box. Like, we didn't hear it. There was an incident. We went through the procedure, didn't hear anything else the rest of the game. That's what I need to have. Now, some people have asked, why are we doing this? I will tell you right now is to make sure people feel heard. And I have two stories. Story number one was an incident that was frankly a miscommunication. It was players playing down in Phoenix. It was 40 degrees. You all know referees from Phoenix, when it gets to 40 degrees, they think they're actually going to freeze in place. So the whole referee crew had those really heavy duty hooded tops that kind of cut off their eyes a little bit. And one of the players on one of the teams was mad at the referee for what he thought was AR for missing a offside. And he yells at his coach, they can't see, while wiping his hand in front of his face. They can't see. They can't see. The team they were playing against had a couple Asian American players. 5 days later, we get a very extensive email and concerns because their parents and these kids are very upset about racist comments being made about them because they took that as racist. Now, the reality is, if they had reported that to the referee would have come over and reported it to the Utah team. It was a Utah team that was alleged to say it. In fact, admitted saying it. They're going to look at the referee and said, yeah, we were yelling at your AR because he blew the call. At least the kid felt heard and it got done. Now, here's more realistic. Game with 17U boys, we had a young Hispanic player who was playing fairly violently and continually get more violent throughout the game. By the end of the game, got himself thrown out for his second cautionable offense. Probably, yeah, for serious foul play, most likely. Coach comes over to him and said, what in the world was going on? He said, you wouldn't believe what these guys were saying to me. They said blah, 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 blah. Had that been reported during the game, that player feels heard. And maybe rather than going out and trying to break a bunch of people's legs, we get the matter dealt with then and we just continue on. So that's the goal. I hope we don't have to use this very often, but we will. And that's okay. Because let's face it, nobody wants to be called out for this. All right. Next big issue. And yep, I put it in parentheses, and yep, that's still the word. We are eliminating, we have to eliminate this word from the game. This last President's Cup Regional, Far West Regional, there are 2 at President's Cup, 1 at Far West Regionals, 3 players from Utah thrown out for the whole tournament for using that word and not using it conversationally. They use it, you were using it derogatorily. And it was, well, frankly, incredibly embarrassing. In fact, I think we're the only state at Far West Regionals and President's Cup Regionals that had anyone thrown out, and we had 3. It was horrible. We are well aware that some of the minority population talks to each other like this, conversationally or during practice. So if you hear the word, context matters. Use your discretion. Okay. If it's conversationally with a teammate, maybe a warning, maybe a caution, maybe a, hey, the parents hear this and they're going to lose their minds, right? So don't use the word. Okay. But if it's used at all negatively or towards you as a ref, that's easy. Boom, ejection for foul and abusive. Make sure you're clearly describing the comments, what was said, and the context. It is most likely, especially if it is done negatively, they will get an extra game suspension. Okay. Any racist comments, I'm tacking on 1. All right. That was the stuff that's really new. This is stuff that I think we already knew, but I'm just reminding you. High school age
Scott, you have
groups.
a question
What was the question?
from Scott. So Scott, unmute yourself.
Yeah, so on the time, if there's a racist comment that's alleged, what's the expectation in terms of the clock while the teams are going to their benches and you talk with each sideline?
You're going to know the situation we're in. Most of our games have enough built in that you can stop the clock on that.
So that would be the preferred thing, to stop the clock. There might be situations where we aren't going to be able to as much, but that would be the try.
Exactly.
Thank you.
No worries. High school rules. There's one high school rule that they've got right, which is if you get a caution as a high school player, you're immediately subbed out of the game. Mandatory, have to leave the game. It is not mandatory here. However, if a coach, we are asking our coaches to attempt to substitute the players immediately. So if a coach says, I need to substitute this player, you don't have to look at him and say, yeah, looks like he picked up a knock. I guess we could do that. It's like, no, use your discretion. Let the substitution happen. Let's get them off the field before they do something else stupid. That's what I said. Not required. Use it to your advantage to help control the match. We all know we can see that player. We can see it when they're losing it. So can their coaches. Let's get them off the field before they do. Mass confrontation policy. I think we've talked about this before, and I'm not getting into the detail of how the refereeing crew handles it. This is the detail as to how I want players. There's a mass confrontation. Your job is to remove your team's player from the confrontation. And then players who are on the bench need to stay on the bench. If you come in on the field, you may be ejected. Again, use your discretion. Okay. If they're coming on the field and they haven't done anything, all right, there's nothing there. If they're coming on the field and they're screaming this, that, or the other at somebody, that's a problem. Okay. And if they come in and get involved, that's an easy ejection. You get them gone. Coaches, you enter the field without permission to de-escalate the situation by removing your player. So coaches do not have to ask first. If the mass confrontation's going, you guys will probably, referees, you'll already be looking at it. You probably want the coaches there. Their job, get in, get their players out, do everything in their power to avoid touching a player from the other team. That's when everyone loses their minds. And parents, stay off the freaking field. Now, sometimes they come on. If they do, it better only to get their kid out. Okay. Do not touch another player. Don't be screaming at other players, etc. Everything else about the mass confrontation rule with you guys doing the triangle and working together as a team absolutely continues on. Exact same thing. It's just you may have some additional considerations, especially the ARs who are near where the benches are. So they're going to be able to point out, hey, this kid came off the bench and got involved. All right, great. That makes one of the ejections simple. Okay, game reports. We've all done them. The game report literally is just in the comments box. Okay. Here's what happened last year. In a 13U girls D2 game, two players decided to fight on the field. That's problematic. That got reported as violent conduct ejections. And the parents from the players involved also got into a fight on the field. I received no report. I never knew about this until 2 months after the season. Okay, can't happen. If something major happens, absolutely, positively make sure that we've got the report. Okay, they're not difficult to do. Put it in comments. Please remember, referees' comments, when you write into the comments, coaches can't see them. The only one who can see them is the administrative side. That's us. That's me. That's Michelle. Okay. So get the report, get it written up. Sometimes I get separate emails from somebody with a full report. That's fine. That's helpful. But again, if you write it up in the report and click the review requested button, we'll see it. If you don't write it up at all, we will not see it. And if I find out later something big happened, you get to have a conversation with Miss Holly. Elements of a good game report. You know what? For the most part, when reports are done, you all do a pretty good job. Okay. It's not perfect. I know Paul Scott can always come up with more things that you could have put into and all the rest of it. It's like, hey, Paul, we weren't paid $500 for this particular game, so we're not going to spend 5 hours in making sure we get all our conjunctions correct, but doing the best you can. So who, what, when, details, any information, basically everything that if you were in my position and I had to decide on additional discipline, what would you want me to know? Okay. And it has to be more than, yeah, this coach is a jerk, throw him out for the season. Oh, okay. Maybe that's true. Give me a little more. This is just an example of one. The only reason I put it on there is because I highlighted that thing at the end because we all know this is what happens. Referee warns the coaches. Referee goes to leave. They made another comment. Referee turns around, says, cautions them, says, that's it, we're done. And then turns around to stare at the game. And the coach, having to get the last word, start calls. Okay, you're done. There's your rejection. Love the report. So that's why I put it out there. And unfortunately, it's usually the report we get. Hey, here's the good news. Ever since we put in zero tolerance, the number of coach ejections have been going down at the same time that we have more and more teams and more games. So it's trending the right direction. We're trying to help these coaches figure it out. But when they don't, all right, some people have to learn the hard way. Okay. This is just about the accurate rosters. Holly knows this. If we have at least one person there who at least is on the coaching staff, and let's say they have their red line with the C next to it, which probably means concussion protocol, and it hasn't been updated. Okay. Let the game happen. Put it in your comments on the report, put it in the report. Okay. Hey, this guy was redlined, but everybody traveled. We want to make the game happen. About the only time we're not going to have a game happen is if there is no rostered coach at all, right? I don't have an adult who's there to take care of that game. Then we probably just can't go forward. Sorry, but our preference: play the game, get in the comments. If it needs to be a forfeit, I will forfeit them afterwards, but the kids still get to play. Let's see. Mentors, hey, get them, use them, right? If you're new and just like first 5 games, whatever, ask for a mentor. Okay. Your referee assigner will give you one. They will find a way. And then if you want a more experienced mentor, or if you have more experience want a mentor, check with Holly. She will then work with the referee assigner to get it done. And watch for the IREF supplemental training opportunities. I'm not, hopefully you all got notice that these were at least going on. That's Mark Probert and his IREF, which is basically about how to ref, right? We're not talking about rules. We're not talking about the technical. We are talking specifically how you're carrying yourself on the field, how you're blowing your whistle, where you're running and why, etc. So Mark has done a really nice job with that. We're really excited for him. There will be more of these classes in the future. If you've been to one, fantastic. If you haven't been to one, you may want to. Well, in fact, I'll ask Holly. You attended at least 2 of these things. What were your thoughts?
3.
There you keep going.
I've gone to 3 of them. Mark gives you a little bit of tips and tricks that allow you more tools in your toolbox to be able to game manage a little bit better. So it's just a different idea. It's a different side of how it is when you're reffing. So yeah, it's a good little thing for you. Gives you a good little tip.
If we call it a science and an art, Mark's more on the art side.
That's
I
correct.
can tell you that. I mean,
That's correct.
he's all about helping you find your voice and how you want to act as a referee, and while at the same time letting you know what's been effective for him. Now, what's been effective for him is that he's one of the funniest human beings on the planet. So it doesn't matter what he does, he ends up doing fine, but he has a lot of other good hints. All right, my favorite. Okay. Usually the only time we really run into issues with referees is because they failed Law 18 and just took a difficult situation, didn't really use common sense, and things went downhill. Okay. When in doubt, right? Something's going to heck in a handbasket. Stop the game, send the team to their sideline, bring out the coaches, talk it out, and figure out if you're going to be able to get this game done. Right? Slow everything down, put everybody in timeout if you need to, and then we all spend some time figuring it out. And then, as always, if there's a game that needs to be reviewed, hit the game comment review button, because we have a way. Our program now will pull up just the games that have been hit, and we will review them all. So I think I promised people who are in the waiting area that I would be done in half an hour. I'm at 28 minutes because we started 1 minute late. I am very interested on any thoughts, comments, or questions that you have that I can answer for you.
Scott, I have some clarification if you don't mind.
Go for it.
This is towards the very beginning of your presentation. This is something that has happened ever since in the last few years that team officials have been able to be shown a red or a yellow card. And you mentioned, and there was just a quick little blurb about if someone can't be identified, then the head coach gets that card, either yellow or red card. We need to stress that this is only for team officials or players on the bench that cannot be identified. If a parent shouts something that we can't identify who said it, we cannot show the coach a card. We can tell the coach to go deal with it, and if they refuse to deal with it, then we can show them a yellow card for dissent, but we cannot show them any cards for actions of spectators or anybody else.
Good catch, Hunter.
I'm comfortable with that. I am very comfortable with that. The whole goal when it comes to handling parent, right? And I would again stress it is so important for the referee and the coaches to talk to each other at the beginning of the game. And one of the conversations should be 2 parts, really. The referee looking at the coach saying, "Hey, if I'm getting any guff from your parents, I'm coming to you. Will you please handle it?" And I'm saying, "Sure, sure, sure." And then the coach almost always saying, "If I have a question, how do you want me to address you?" And you let them know. Okay. And please, the whole "you don't address me, I'm the official," that's not what we're trying to do here. You're a team. We're all a team. That's the whole point. We're all a team coming together to help the kids have fun. Go out, have a fun game. Let's see, 2 new messages. What do you have? Are we addressing name calling in other languages? Yes. It doesn't
Yes.
matter what the language is. Okay.
If you
Frankly,
understand it and it's not good, don't address it.
right. Well, in fact, even if you don't understand it, If if it's two Hispanic kids and they're letting each other have, and one of them says, "Guy, this guy called me up." It's like, okay, I don't know what that means, but I'm gonna guess it's bad. So we tweet off to the sideline. We're gonna get this fixed. Do we cancel if there's only one referee at a game? Nope. Nope. You go with club linesman, you look at the coach and say, don't play a trap. And just to clarify, if you get two referees, we still don't like the two-man system. So it would be the center, one AR, and one club. Hey, keep asking questions. Go. What do you got? What do you got? What do you got? Holly's not allowed to ask me questions. She asks me ones that are impossible to answer.
Just a question about in the notes for the younger games, do we also put in who scores the goals? I'm a newer ref, so I'm
Nope.
You don't need to.
Because there's no scores, no standings, we are also not tracking goal scoring at 9U through 11U. So don't even have to worry about it. In fact, if you're so good that you put in the goal scores on those younger teams' games, by doing that, it automatically puts a score in there. So it actually defeats the purpose. What if there isn't a club linesman at the game? Then you volunteer whoever looks able-bodied.
And then please put it in the comments if it's a U9 through U11 game, that there was no club linesman, put it in the comments of what team it was that did not provide one, so that we
Right.
can make sure that we speak to that member organization.
Yeah. 9s and 10s. There's three, there should be three assigned.
I mean,
at
9s and 10s.
U11.
Did I say
Yep.
11s as well?
Yep.
I'm tired.
Gotcha. Joel, were you guffawing in the background? Is that why I saw
Yeah,
your
no, so I was trying to speak and then my microphone wasn't working. My bad.
There you go.
So it's kind of a question and a thought like, well, we put in all these reports like throughout the league. We always say, oh, this parent, this happens to this coach, this happens to this player. And I just feel like we don't hear anything. And I was wondering if there's a better that you guys can communicate better, especially when it comes to parents and coaches, because I feel like I don't know if it's just me, but if we don't hear anything, it's just kind of like, oh, UYSA is not doing anything about it. But if we hear something about it, then I think it'll make us feel better as referees that something has been done in that situation. Does that make sense?
100%. I love to be able to. As you know, Joel, there's certain days. Yeah, well, we're so busy trying to figure out who did what, getting it all solved, that that's not at the top of our minds. It's a good reminder for us at the office. So yes, we will try to make sure you know.
With that, Joel, though, also you are very well aware that I'm also very involved in that, and they bring that to my attention. And if you ask, I will ask them, and they will answer, and I will give you one. You know that,
Yeah,
so
I believe in you, Holly.
I love you, Joel.
All right, somebody answered. Do we mention zero tolerance before the game? No. And I'll tell you why. Zero tolerance at this point is a sledgehammer. I know it's a sledgehammer. Unfortunately, we still need the sledgehammer because there's still knuckleheads out there, but it's an incredibly negative way of saying what we're trying to say, which is, hey, parents, we love that you're here. Come and encourage your kids, right? Let's make this a great experience for everybody. And so if we start right out of the gate talking about zero tolerance, that's kind of got a little bit of a negative feel to it. I'd prefer it to be much more positive, which is, even if you're getting ready to walk the field, wave to the parent, say, hey, I'm your ref today. Let's have a good one. All right. Anything positive. But yeah, I would not mention the zero tolerance. And again, yes, the parent should know, the club should know. If not, they find out very quickly. AR, and here Racecom has should get the center ref's attention. Throw that flag. Yep. Bring them over, explain what happened. Most likely referee's get a double whistle, send everybody to the sideline, get to the kid who get to the other team, then the kid who set it, and we're going to handle it. And if it's a biggie, then it's going to be a straight red, because it's rare that a truly racist comment is not going to be foul and abusive. I, in fact, can't see it happening very often at all. Snap your flag call if you weren't acknowledged. Yep and yep. All right. Thanks. And Joel had to leave. He's a busy boy.
Anybody else have questions for us before we are going to let Scott go?
I've got a question.
Yes,
When
please.
checking teams in and they're using an electronic roster, so on the app there, Club Pass players never have their jersey number entered, and just it doesn't do that. Is there
Right.
anything we can do to help with that? Because if that player gets a card or anything, I have no way of knowing who they actually are.
So what's supposed to happen, and I put supposed in the biggest air quotes you've ever seen, is if you have a Club Pass player, you're supposed to print out a paper roster and write in the number. Most of our coaches don't do it. I would suggest if you have a Club Pass player right there during check-in, I would write down their numbers. It's just like, okay, who are you? Yeah, your Club Pass, your maybe initials, SC, and your number 33. Thank you. Unfortunately, you and I, we all know nobody likes to go to a coach at the end of the game when you had discipline to say, hey, that's great. I have no idea who this kid is. Sorry. Good call. Good question, though. Are there no coaches in the roster? The game does not go. Correct. We do need, these are still youth players playing in US youth. They are required to have a coach there for the game. So let's say there's 3 people there. One of them you can tell is on the roster, is a coach, but they're redlined, and you're looking at them going, hey, this is probably going to be a forfeit. You're going to play. We can play, but it's probably going to be a forfeit. And, because these other people are not coaches. So, but if there are no coaches there, no, the game can't go forward. That's an insurance thing. Is club linesman used in all ages? Okay, there's a difference between a certified club linesman, where we've got parents that have spent 5 minutes trying to pay attention to help out our 9Us and 10Us, and club linesman, 11U up. A club linesman is somebody that you get to volunteer on one sideline, who's going to be able to run the line, who will usually tell you if they have any experience or not. And then you, as the center, make a determination about whether you could listen to anything they say or do. It's always problematic. You always make sure both teams know. It's like, I don't know what they're going to be doing here. So club linesmen could be used in all ages. And frankly, let me give you a hint. High school provisional, you're going to have some club linesmen because those are some of the last games that can get filled. We've got to get everything else filled. Those are usually the last games get filled with ARs, number one. And then number two, you need older ARs. And we don't have enough older ones. We don't really want to put the 13-year-old on the 19U game. So sometimes with those, you end up with club linesmen. Anything to add on that, Holly?
No, actually, you're dead on. That's exactly right.
Okay. Referees, handshakes, there's a great question. You know what? I think most of us are finding that not typically handshakes go fine. Sometimes they don't. If it's a heated game, you can make that call from the center of the field, right? Tweets like, yeah, we're not doing handshakes this one. Thanks, y'all. Off we go. Okay, take care of it. But I would, this isn't like dog. So, now I'm keeping it.
Just answer that question. I'm reading, and Daniel's reading. Daniel's answering him for
You
me.
guys are,
So
I'm
I'm
glad
starting to
Daniel's
answer him, and he
answering that
does. So
one.
you're
Thank you
good.
very much. I don't even remember what the question was because that one had me. It was a lot of P's involved.
Daniel readings being my little answer. I love it.
You as a
I got you, Holly.
referee, yeah, you as a referee, if you would like and you prefer and you think it's better to have to do the handshakes at the beginning, then for Pete's sakes, do the handshakes at the beginning. But remember, in our league games, for every single game except for ones played at the rack, our teams are on opposite sides of the field. So it's a little bit difficult unless you do the full walkout and just slap hands. Okay, you can do that. I don't mind. I am not to the point. Oh, why do we not get paid extra for the extra work required and one more referee? It feels unfair, like exploitation almost. Mostly because the logistics of trying to get that figured out and to get the pay worked out is very problematic. We're continuing to work with the Referees Association on trying to find the best way to handle. So I'm sorry, I blurbed through that. Somebody's talking about, hey, it's not fair when we're out there. I'm the center, I'm the Lone Ranger because no AR showed up. Why am I not getting paid extra? Well, you probably should be. But we're still working out the logistics of how to make that happen. I promised you are heard because we're definitely working on that.
Okay, Scott, there was one in here and I'm gonna let you answer it. I could answer it, but I'm gonna let you. It says for U9 through U11, even though we do not report the score, do we still report a card given in the match report?
Yes, absolutely. For players or coaches.
That is, so everything you write in that game report, Scott can see, and that helps him for future use. And then Scott and I and Michelle sit down after each season and talk about you as referees, coaches, and players, and where you all fell with what cards you gave, what we dealt with. And so it gives us a bigger picture. So yes, we want you to write that on those, even if you are doing a U9, 10, and 11. Are there any other questions?
Those really good questions, all of you.
Very good questions.
There's a fantastic, and again, this is for about 50 of you here. So the 1,350 of you who
That now get to go say this to everybody else.
yeah, who get to see this later. That'll be great. As always, whenever there's a message. Sanctuary coaches won't stand the technical area. Okay, it becomes dissent in a way, right? First time it's like, coach, hey, here's where I need you to be. And here's why. I need to know where you are. I need to know who's saying what. This is your area. Okay, please stay there. And the second time, it's your call if you want to warn them again, or if it's just like, here's your caution, stop it. Okay, and yeah. Again, always consider, yeah. So
Would you still have to ref a game if not enough players? No, you can't. You have to have a minimum number of players on the field before you can start a game. That's a law.
That's a law. Minimums are so for 11v11, that's 7. For our 9v9, that's 6. For our 7v7, that's 5.
Know that law because that's going to come in handy.
Yeah, it sometimes happens. We hope it doesn't because we definitely. Daniel's already answering those. I
told you, I love Daniel. He's doing it for me right now.
Take care of good stuff.
So, any other questions?
I have one.
Go.
Okay, this is on jewelry.
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah. So the girls they want to wear their earrings. They turn around and put some tape on it, and I tell them, no, you can't do that. And the coaches, women, the women coaches, they always say, well, another referee let me do it. Their earrings, the holes will heal up. And I told them, I said, no, you can't, and they won't heal up. And the coach says, I'm a woman and I know what, earrings happen. And I go, well, I have a wife, and she told me they don't heal up. So how do we tell the coaches
that's a law
and the referees to all be in sync?
Yeah, that's a law. Yeah. That's a law. They may not wear jewelry. So the bottom line is that you stick to your guns. You can be as sweet as you can. And if it's a female coach, write it down in details in the game report so that both Scott and I can see that, read it, and then Scott can talk to that coach and say, Susie, that's not okay. It's a law.
It's still a no. It's still a no. Yeah,
exactly.
It's a no. Just simple. It's a no.
Details are key, guys, in these game reports. This is when you won't get a phone call from me. or from Scott. If you write more details, it helps me exponentially in able to be able to decipher what's happening in that game and how we can move forward.
Yep.
Oh, more messages.
I think we're caught.
Oh no, we're good. Okay. Nope, everybody's answering.
Oh, so I'm laughing at grab a cone from the coach's bag and mark off where their coach's area is. Brilliant. Yeah, why not? Hey, let me help you. Or
If
you
they
can mark
just
it
got
off
their ears
yourself.
pierced, would they just say no to play? The
Some
deal
may.
is this. Look, these parents know, and every coach knows this is a law. So the bottom line is I mean, I'm going to be pretty brutally honest. It's either their ear's going to have, they could brutally have something pull off their ear, and I don't care. It's not going to kill them for an hour to have their earrings off. So no, earrings off, everything off. No.
Here's what the parent and coach is going to hear when they call the office. It's like, no.
No.
Laws of the game and referee discretion, both. No.
No.
So the answer is no. I'm sorry. Same thing
It
when we
doesn't
come down
matter.
to right.
Now,
Yeah,
you can show kindness when you're telling them no,
right.
but the bottom line is it's no. It's a law. No. No earrings.
They chose to get their ears pierced during the season. Yep. Yes, they did.
And it actually happened. Scott will tell you, it actually happened down in southern Utah, where we had to fight a mother who was livid as could be that her daughter got her earrings pierced and that she couldn't play. She felt like she couldn't play 2 games because of it.
Yep.
And it was a fight.
Follow-up question. There's no ARs and no CCL. Can we ask parents? Yes. That's what a
Yes.
club linesman is.
Mhm.
Anybody who's willing to stand there with a flag. And the parent, and have you ever done this? No. Here's what I need you to do. Stand right here at the half line. Every time the ball goes out of bounds on the sideline, whole ball over the whole line, raise your flag. Everything else you'll handle. All right. Yeah, don't tell them they can't play. You can take the earring out or you can sit. Yeah. Well, that's parenting right there.
I
And
love you,
in a lot
Hunter.
of
That's
ways,
such a Hunter comment. Love you,
it
Hunter.
is parenting. There's no question.
It's true. Any
All
other
right.
questions? Good.
We will have the link to both the PowerPoint and to this tomorrow, both at UYSA, and I'm going to send both of them to Miss Holly so she can put them up there as well. Thank you all. And as always, whenever, time of the century camera, well, yes. Okay. As always, whenever you have questions, okay, it's David, right? Who's, he's a state referee instructor. He can answer anything. You've got Holly, who's right there. And from the league side, I'm always there to answer questions. Michelle's there to answer questions. We're all there to help. We want to help you. And then my last thing is, please remember, if you treat the coaches like partners, your game goes better. Okay. We're all partners to give these kids a great game. That's it. You're usually going to get more buy-in from everybody. All right. Thanks, everybody. Very much appreciate you.
Thanks, guys.